out there in the southeast and, of course, ENUGU state right here. It is the 14th day in the month of September 2013. And we would like to welcome you all to another beautiful Saturday morning on the People's Court. You know how it goes. It is a very, very important program for you out there, for the old and the young, for the poor and the rich, for everyone out there in the country. And it is a radio court aimed at fighting social injustice and impunity in the southeast and everywhere in the country. So, of course, you know it's going to be in two segments: the case, which comes up later, and then the public petition, which we're going to be starting with this morning. So we wish you all, it's going to be running from now until it's 11 o'clock, and you know that one person gets to win a radio set between now and 11. So we wish you all a very, very wonderful time with us this morning, and I hope that everything goes well this morning.
I'd like you to imagine a place where fairness reigns supreme, a place where everyone has access to affordable justice and thus equal before the law, where no sacred bulls can trample on the rights of the common man and get away with it. That place is the People's Court. The People's Court is a radio court aimed at soliciting the timely participation of all in the enthronement and deepening of democracy and the fight against impunity, corruption, and abuse of human rights. Join Movers Nigeria. Move Nigeria forward.
Okay, welcome back, and we're going to be starting the show this morning, first of all, by introducing to you all out there the founder of Movers Nigeria, Mr. IKECHUKWU. Good morning, sir.
Distinguished citizens, the People's Court is now in session. Citizens, you must bear in mind that the strength of your oppressor is proportional to your own weakness in resisting him or her. You now have a free access to justice in the People's Court, where the people will be the jury. So if you are oppressed by our big man, institutions, or government, take the matter to the People's Court and let your voice be heard before your rights are buried. Distinguished citizens, the focus in this episode of the People's Court is taken from the dictum of one of our most eminent jurists. The dictum was an opinion on issue of balance of justice in the protection of the rights of the people by the court. Distinguished citizens, I will want to introduce to you this eminent scholar, a distinguished jurist of great repute. This is a decision taken by the Supreme Court of Nigeria in the case of Engineering Enterprise of Niger Contractor Company of Nigeria against the Attorney General of Kaduna State. This case is reported in 1998, Volume 2, Nigeria Weekly Law Report, Part 57, at page 381. More particularly, distinguished citizens, at page 400, paras E to G. I am humbled to introduce to you what the learned jurist, His Lordship, Honorable Justice Anthony Aniagolu, JSC, as he then was, what he said about when the contention of an issue is how do you deliver justice to the citizen when the court has a duty to protect the rights, the court must strike a balance. And this is what this eminent jurist said, and I quote, "Where on a balance of justice, a citizen's right is to be protected, this court, as a court of last resort, must not hesitate in keeping with the accepted legal principles of ibi jus ubi remedium, even to pronounce upon a new head of remedy suitable to meet an exigent situation and direct by the particular facts and circumstances, on the principle that in a new and advancing world, in the protection of the rights of the individuals, the categories of remedies may never be closed. In that way, the law is adapted to meet the needs of the society and not used to foreclose the legitimate yearning demands of the rights of the citizenry." Unquote. Distinguished citizens, I would like to use this opportunity to unveil the personality of the forum judge in this episode. The forum judge in this episode is Dr. EGWU. He is resident in Awka, Anambra State, a chartered marketer, a former chairman of Awka local government, a consultant. More particularly, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, this is a man of integrity. Dr. EGWU, I am going to call on you to address the jury. Dr. EGWU, sir.
Thank you very much. Distinguished listeners, the great God who created all of us and put us in this planet Earth and this clime called Nigeria has not made a mistake. It is not an accident either that we are called Nigerians. Our founding fathers, Chief Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe, Chief Obafemi Awolowo, and the Sardauna of Sokoto Alhaji Ahmadu Bello, all of the blessed memory, did their best to lay a good foundation for our democracy. Today, our elites and our politicians have turned good governance upside down and made a total mess of our democracy. Democracy is no longer a government of the people, by the people, for the people. It has become a government of the few, for the few, by the few. It has become a cult by a privileged class who desire to appropriate the wealth and resources of this country to themselves, to the detriment of the larger majority of all of us. We cannot sit back and continue to complain. We cannot invoke the spirit of our founding fathers to come back to help us. We cannot pray to God either to do for us what He has created us to do for ourselves. We must rise up to take the bull by the horns and confront corruption at all levels as a matter of urgency. Corruption has destroyed our democracy, and good governance has come to naught. Thank you.
That is the statement of the forum judge, distinguished citizens, I will use this single opportunity to introduce the only petition on public table. The petition is sponsored by Movers Nigeria. Distinguished citizens, in this episode of the People's Court, we want to appeal to the citizens to wake up from the slumber. They have to bring in issues to be discussed at public petition. These are issues that are very close to your heart, that will affect good governance in your community, so that we can articulate this public issue. The way you can send this is you can text it to any of the movers phone line, email it to us, or send it by courier to our office, so that we will give the forum judge the opportunity to deliberate on it, and then we will put it up in the internet for our followers all over the world to access it and make their comments on Facebook. Citizens, I'm humbled to bring the petition by Movers Nigeria, and that is the petition. The petition is: do you support the idea that the State House of Assembly should make laws requiring the state governor to render account on the use of security votes approved for governors in the state appropriation law to reduce corruption by the governors? I take that question again. Do you support the idea that the State House of Assembly should make laws requiring the state governor to render account on the use of security votes approved for governors in the state appropriation law to reduce corruption by the governor? Distinguished citizens, this issue has come up because there are so many cases against past governors for corruption. The Freedom of Information Act must be put in use by the citizens to know how much their property and funds are expended, and how, and what item. We must fight the abuse of power. Citizens, I am humble to present to you the judgment of this erudite Nigeria, Dr. NNANNA, who we feel has integrity, to tell us how his mind is working on this issue before the jury will be called in by the presenter. Dr. NNANNA, please, could you deliver your judgment on this issue of the public petition, sir?
Thank you very much. The issue of corruption is a cankerworm that has eaten deep into the fabrics of the Nigerian nation. Corruption is the greatest impediment to good governance. In my opinion, if Nigeria will advance as a nation, drastic steps must be taken against corruption at all levels and in all ramifications, especially in public places. This drastic step should start at the top with our political office holders, from the federal government to the local governments. If the reports in the public domain of excessive abuse of the security votes by the state governors is anything to go by, the public must support the idea that state houses of assembly should make laws requiring state governors to render account of security votes approved for them in the state appropriation law. If the state assemblies have the power to appropriate the security votes, then they should have the power to ask for accountability of same in the public interest. The provision of security votes in our law has been seriously abused, and it is my opinion that something must be done to reduce corruption in Nigeria. We need to create strong institutions and de-emphasize strong leadership in our democracy, if our democracy is to develop. The judiciary should be reorganized and empowered to play the role of a last hope of the downtrodden citizens of this country. Also, Nigerians must stand up to demand their rights to know with the Freedom of Information Act that is already in place. Thank you.
That is the judgment of the distinguished forum judge. I now call on the presenter to please
introduce the case.
Distinguished citizens, the People's Court hearing of the case is now in session. Citizens, the case before the People's Court for determination is a case filed by Mr. Ben IKECHUKWU against Rangers International FC ENUGU Management as the defendant. This case by Mr. Ben IKECHUKWU against the management of Rangers International FC, when it was brought in, we made the necessary effort to serve this petition to the defendant. The petition was served on the defendant through a courier service sent to them on Thursday, the 15th day of August 2013. The petition is pigeonholed on the following facts. My name is Ben IKECHUKWU. I live at Ogboli Village, EGWU, in Enugu State. I rendered public relations service to Rangers Club during their Super 4 League in 2001 and early part of 2002. In 2002, I was removed as Rangers publicity man without settling my bill. In January 26, 2007, I wrote a letter to the Honorable Commissioner for Sports. Then, he set up a committee to verify my claim. And the committee was headed by the Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Youth and Sports, Enugu State. The committee, after the verification, noticed that Rangers was owing me, which made the commissioner to approve my payment. Notwithstanding the commissioner's approval till date, nothing has happened and I have not been paid. In November 19, 2010, I further wrote a letter to His Excellency, the Executive Governor of Enugu State, about the money. Still, there is no reply till date. The claimant, Mr. Ben IKECHUKWU, put his bill in his petition, which was brought to the notice of the claimant as required by our laws, to be in the sum of 400,000 naira. He claimed that this bill had earlier been approved by the erstwhile commissioner in charge of Rangers FC, and the bill pending was 2001 to 2002 till date. Mr. Ben IKECHUKWU claimed that he has not been paid. So his claim is for 400,000 naira owed to him. This petition, as I mentioned, was served on the management of Rangers International FC at their address. Yet they neglected, as citizens in a democracy, to react to the petition because they feel nothing can happen to them. This is one of those display of impunity and unaccountability in public office. they have not taken any step to defend this case. This case is right before the Forum Court, and I call upon the Honorable Distinguished Forum Judge to give his judgment on this matter. Forum Judge, sir.
Thank you very much. I feel greatly perturbed about this case because I was once a member of the Rangers Management Committee in the late 70s. Rangers was not then known for impunity. It was a club for all Igbos. However, this case before me this morning, the facts before me in this case show overwhelming evidence that the claimant, Mr. Ben IKECHUKWU, rendered a public relations consultancy service to the defendant, Rangers International Football Club, for which he is owed the sum of 400,000 naira only. This claim was subsequently investigated by a committee headed by a permanent secretary in the Ministry of Youth and Sports, Enugu State. And this claim was confirmed as being true, being correct. For inexplicable reasons, payment was withheld. In my considered opinion, this is man's inhumanity to man. This is the impunity in public places that we're talking about. A laborer deserves his wages. The perpetrators should remember that there is God in heaven who watches over the affairs of men. His judgment will surely come. Believe it or not, whosoever that is sitting on this kind of claim, remember that there's the great God in heaven looking at you. The government of Enugu State is liable and is hereby ordered to pay Mr. Ben IKECHUKWU the sum owed with interest at prevailing bank rate from 2002 till date. The level of impunity exhibited by our public functionaries should not be tolerated. We have taken things for granted for too long. The time has come for the public to rise up against such impunity. The governor of Enugu State is hereby requested to fish out whosoever that was responsible for this impunity and take appropriate actions. The judiciary must stand on the side of the common man to make our democracy more meaningful. Thank you.
Thank you, distinguished forum judge. That is the decree of the People's Court. I now call on the presenter to bring in the jury for their judgment.
Continue with the show.
Distinguished citizens, I will now call on the forum judge to give the final verdict of the jury on the issue of the public petition presented and the judgment before the People's Court this morning. Don't forget that the forum judge is Dr. NNANNA. Forum judge, with all due respect, sir.
Thank you very much. It has been a wonderful morning in this program. Excitingly, out of about 20 respondents to this program in the first instance, when we talked of the general public petitions on good governance, the judgment that I gave, about 19 out of the 20 respondents supported this judgment. Only one person, Mr. Ubina, who does not support, but unfortunately or incidentally, he refused. He did not give any reasons. Then on the second segment about the judgment of the claim of Mr. IKECHUKWU, again we had about 15 respondents, and all of them without exception in total support of the judgment that I gave, except except in one area, Dr. Carfor prefers that the government of the Rangers Management Club or government of Enugu State should pay Ben IKECHUKWU damages for that breach, not just the interest. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Distinguished citizens, that is the judgment of the jury on the public petition and the judgment of the case before the People's Court this morning. I now call on Movers Nigeria for today's edition. This edition of the People's Court is very interactive, and we want to encourage the people to be more active by participating and calling and sending in your text messages and using our Facebook page or your emails, so that we can be more involved in our democratic process and deepening the culture of democracy in Nigeria. We will now use this opportunity to thank the jury for today. The jury is so interactive, and they have also been able to bring in some issues that will help the People's Court to be enforcing their judgment. We are calling on the citizens, if you do not come and join and let us have good governance, you can continue praying from today till God knows when, but we need to do something to assist God to help us. Distinguished citizens, I am humbled to announce to you that we had very stiff competition for the radio, but using our fair judgment, we have decided to award the radio for two people that have made tremendous contribution by showing courage and giving us support by way of their participation and things they have suggested. This is one is a distinguished citizen, Apostle Nwachukwu, has won a radio, and another is Agbefuna Eme, who has been talking on the issue of he had to port, if I may use the language of the telecommunication, because of kidnappers, and he came specifically to continue to make contribution to deepen our democracy. This distinguished citizen won. Agbefuna Eme and Apostle Nwachukwu, you are the distinguished winners of our radio in this episode. You can come to our office or give somebody a note for him to come and collect your radio. Congratulations.
Okay, and with that, we would like to say that the People's Court is going to be ending for today, and